In episode 6, Cassie meets up with Annie at the hospital right after Max was taken there. And Cassie's trying to explain herself. Everything that happened, the Hello Kitty flash drive, Max saving her, but Annie doesn't want to hear it. She's beside herself. Annie lets her know that they arrested an 18-year-old girl who just got a lesson in driving and texting, but Cassie doesn't believe that that's the case. She thinks that somebody must have been after her, and this infuriates Annie even more. She tells Cassie, "You've never seen me pissed off, so I suggest you back the fuck off." Even after this warning, though, Cassie keeps trying to explain herself. They end up getting into a screaming match with Annie telling her, "You need to leave now, and you also need to get your stuff out of my place." So with nowhere else to go, Cassie starts calling up some of her coworkers. She calls up Jada, but realizes that might not have been the best idea. Jada does let her know, though, that she'll see her in 2 days for a trip to Rome that she didn't know she was going to be on. She then calls up Megan, who's concerned and doesn't really seem interested in hanging out with her. But Cassie spins it on her, saying, "Well, you're the one who always wanted to hang out. I mean, besides, you called me up and left some message in Korean." And Megan gets really startled by this, not understanding how that could have possibly happened, but lies to Cassie and tells her that it was just something with some guy and asks her to delete it. Although Cassie says, "No, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to keep it, transcribe it for later," and then hangs up on her. But it's definitely got Megan pretty worried. Oh, and Shane didn't answer. So with nowhere else to turn, she goes to the Hotel Buckley, where you pay in that ass. And as she's lying on his floor, kind of just staring off into space, she goes into her headspace with dead Alex. But she doesn't want to be judged by Alex, so she starts trying to run away from him. Though it's kind of hard to run away from a guy in your own head. When Buckley does finally wake up, the two hit the town hard. They go to brunch and get shit-faced on bottomless mimosas. And after they get kicked out of brunch, they head to one of Cassie's favorite bars. The FBI, meanwhile, has shown up at the Lionfish headquarters, but there's nothing there. Everything's been cleared out. And they're trying to figure out why Cassie would go to an abandoned warehouse. The FBI agent, who was tasked with tagging her, followed her there, but didn't follow her in. So he's not really any kind of help. They then send that guy back on the Cassie Bowden trail. When Agent Hammond and Agent White get back to the office, Agent Hammond is kind of coming around to Cassie's side, realizing that a lot of the things that she brought up in her statement has been checking out. But Agent White is casting it aside, saying that you can't trust her, and she is still their number one suspect. Miranda, by the way, had watched the FBI raid Lionfish's headquarters, and she calls up Victor's assistant to find out why. Miranda gets filled in on all the details and about how Lionfish had to clear out pretty quickly, but then realizes, wait, how do you know this is happening? And Miranda tells her it's because I'm watching it live. She explains that she's still trying to clean her mess up and pays the girl to tell Victor, if Victor asks, that she's seen her in London. And since everybody needs cash, the girl agrees to it. So Miranda heads off to try to continue to clean up her mess. And another person that's trying to clean up a mess is Megan. She heads into the city with her son looking to find Cassie. And when her son does a quick Instagram search, he locates her at the bar. Although Megan doesn't let Cassie know she's coming. And while in that bar, Cassie realizes that she's being followed by that FBI agent, although she doesn't know who he is. And she's sick of it. She confronts the guy, asking, "Why are you following me? Is it because I know about Lionfish?" But then, in the middle of it, she realizes, oh my god, wait, you're FBI. And she gets excited because if he is FBI, she feels safe. But he's not giving her any information. And as she's doing a terrible job interrogating him, Megan sneaks in the bar, steals her phone, and deletes that message, putting the phone back near the ground, and Cassie is none the wiser. The FBI agent, well, he got sick of being questioned and just gets up and says, "You're crazy, lady," and walks out. Although, when he does walk out, he ends up getting his throat slit by Miranda. Cassie, of course, has no idea any of this is going on outside. She returns to the table, and not only does Buckley say that they're dating, but suggests that they run away together. And that's a lot to process for Cassie, even a drunk Cassie, so she excuses herself to go to the bathroom. She goes back into her headspace with dead Alex, where she is finally caught by him. The two get into a fight where dead Alex is trying to make her realize that even though her life is in real danger, all she's focused on is having somebody there to be there for her because Annie cut her off. She tells Alex, "Well, me and Annie will make up. I mean, we always do." But Alex says, "No, I don't think so. I saw the look in her eye. She's done." So Cassie decides to head off to prove him wrong, dragging Buckley to Annie's apartment to wait her out. Although they're not waiting long before Annie comes back, and she is pissed that Cassie is there along with some random dude. So Cassie sends Buckley out in the hallway, and Annie and Cassie have it out. Annie's really pissed off that Cassie had a major part to do with the fact that the guy that she loves is currently in the hospital, and she just doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. This then turns into a fight about their friendship or lack thereof. And Annie brings up the fact that their friendship always worked because they never had to bring up the dirty stuff, like the fact that Annie is a liar and Cassie is a drunk. But even though Cassie is completely shit-faced and can barely stand, she has the nerve to tell Annie, "I'm not a drunk." Annie just tells her, "I don't have the emotional bandwidth to fight with you today. I'm a little tapped out. So I'm done, and I'm going to need you to leave." But right before she leaves, Cassie looks at her and says, "You know, you're going to feel really bad about this when I wind up dead." And then she walks out. Her and Buckley are walking the street, and they're still pretty banged up when they see one of those horses that children ride for a quarter. And Cassie starts freaking out about how this mechanical horse is in captivity and they should free it. So they lift it up and they try to actually steal the thing. Although they're caught by the shop owner, they end up tripping and the horse goes through a windshield and they get caught by the police and arrested. And they actually dodged a bullet in a way because Miranda wasn't far behind them. So Cassie unknowingly just got saved by the police. After once again coming up short, Miranda heads back to her car to figure out a game plan where there's an assassin in the back seat who tries to choke her and kill her, although she ends up stabbing him in the eye and taking him out. So she knows that she is on borrowed time. She needs to clean up this mess ASAP. Cassie, meanwhile, gets thrown in the drunk tank, and while she's there, she ends up going back into that headspace with dead Alex and starts re-remembering some of the memories she had from her childhood. Most of these memories she remembered in a positive light, but after Davy's speech to her, she's remembering what really happened, how awful her father was and her to Davy, and she feels really guilty. When she finally gets a phone call, the person she calls is Davy to apologize. She tells Davy, "I couldn't have ever imagined that actually happened, and I must have blocked it out, and I'm sorry, because I feel like I had a massive part in how bad your childhood was." But instead of kicking someone when they're down, Davy doesn't get mad at her, saying, "Don't apologize, because while Dad shouldn't have treated me like that, he also shouldn't have treated you like that." Davy's pretty concerned for his sister and asks, "Hey, I know something's up. What's going on?" But Cassie doesn't really give him any details, just saying that she needs to figure some stuff out. Although, right before she gets off the phone, Davy does tell her, "I love you." A couple hours later, though, Cassie is bailed out, and she stumbles out of the police precinct, having no idea who actually bailed her out. And when she turns the corner, she finds out who bailed her out. It's Miranda, who has her at gunpoint and says, "We should probably talk." Back at the hospital, though, Annie has done some soul-searching and has decided to resign from her law firm. And when her assistant, Jennifer, shows up, she gives her resignation to give to her boss. She knows that she can't give it in person because if she did, her boss will convince her to stay. She then gives Jennifer some advice about knowing who you are and sticking up for yourself and yada, yada, yada. And after going on a little detective mission with her son, the next morning Megan wakes up pretty early, but she's surprised because her husband's also up early. And it's because there's a computer issue at work that he needs to go in and take a look at. And it's got Megan a little concerned. Thank you so much for watching this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you thought it sucked. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up soon. And please be nice in the comments section. Nobody likes being told they suck, even if it's true. Oh, and sharing's caring.